Tokyo, Japan. Tsukiji District, March 17, 1993. Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon. The dojo sits on the third floor of an unmarked building, accessible only by a narrow staircase that smells of aged wood and decades of sweat. This is not a commercial training facility. This is a private space maintained by the Tanaka family for 8 generations, where serious practitioners of classical Japanese sword arts come to train away from public eyes. The polished wooden floor reflects the afternoon light filtering through rice paper screens. 40 people fill the observation area along the walls. They sit in formal seiza position, legs folded beneath them, backs straight. Among them are Kendo instructors from various Tokyo schools, sports science researchers from Waseda University, a documentary crew, and several martial arts journalists. They have been invited to witness a speed measurement demonstration, a scientific examination of reaction time and striking velocity using laser sensor technology recently developed for Olympic training analysis. The atmosphere is formal, respectful, curious. At the far end of the dojo stands Akiko Tanaka. She is 31 years old, 5 feet 9 inches tall, 145 pounds of precise conditioning developed through 26 years of daily Kendo practice. She wears traditional hakama and a keikogi top in deep indigo blue. Her family has produced Kendo champions for 8 generations. The katana she holds is not a modern shinai bamboo practice sword, but a real blade, forged by a licensed swordsmith, balanced and sharpened for tamashigiri cutting practice. She is the 5-time All-Japan Women's Kendo champion, undefeated in competition for 7 consecutive years. In 1991, her men's strike was recorded at 0.087 seconds from initiation to impact. The measurement appeared in Japanese sports journals. She is considered one of the fastest sword practitioners in modern competitive Kendo. But what nobody in that room understood yet was that speed measurement in controlled conditions represents only one dimension of martial capability. Real combat involves variables that laboratory conditions cannot replicate. Distance judgment under pressure, timing against an opponent who moves, the psychological weight of facing someone who does not simply stand still and wait to be struck. Jet Li stands near the entrance, observing quietly. He is 30 years old, 5 feet 7 inches, 140 pounds. He wears simple black training clothes, no rank designation. To most people in the room, he is known primarily as an actor, famous for Once Upon a Time in China. Some know he was a wushu champion in his youth, but few understand the depth of his training. The hours spent studying Wing Chun's economy of motion, developing reflexes that operate faster than conscious thought. He accepted the invitation after meeting one of the Waseda researchers at a film industry event. The researcher explained they were studying comparative striking speeds across different martial systems. The lead researcher, Dr. Hiroshi Yamada, a biomechanics specialist from Waseda University, stands between them holding a clipboard. 2 laser sensor gates have been installed, positioned 2 meters from a padded target board. The sensors measure the exact moment a strike crosses the laser plane and the moment of impact. The system is accurate to 1/1000th of a second. The first demonstration will be simple. Akiko will execute a tsuki thrust from 2 meters away. The sensors will record her speed. Then Jet Li will perform a straight punch from the same distance. Direct comparison, pure measurement of striking velocity. The second test will be different, more complex, more realistic. Akiko will attempt to strike Jet Li with a genuine attack, full speed, full intention. Jet Li will attempt to touch her sword arm before the blade reaches him. The measurement will show which contact occurred first, down to the millisecond. Dr. Yamada emphasizes that both participants have agreed to these terms, that safety protocols are in place. Akiko steps to the starting position, marked 2 meters from the target. She assumes Chudan no Kamae, the middle guard position, sword held at center line. Her breathing is controlled, rhythmic. She has performed this exact strike thousands of times. The sensors hum quietly, red laser lines barely visible. Dr. Yamada raises his hand, then drops it. Hajime. Akiko's body uncoils. Her rear foot pushes, her hips rotate, her arms extend. The blade drives forward in a perfectly linear thrust. The katana crosses the laser plane, triggers the first sensor, impacts the target, triggers the second sensor. The sensor display shows the result: 0.094 seconds from initiation to impact, faster than most people can blink. The observers murmur appreciatively. Akiko returns to ready position, bows to the target, steps back. Jet Li approaches the starting mark. He stands naturally, weight evenly distributed, hands open at his sides. No chambered fist, no obvious preparation. To those unfamiliar with Wing Chun, he appears almost casual. Dr. Yamada resets the sensors, confirms calibration, raises his hand again. Hajime. Jet Li's right hand moves. Not a wind-up, not a telegraph, just movement. His hand travels from his side to the target in what appears to be a single fluid motion, the chain punch technique central to Wing Chun, generated from the elbow and shoulder. The sound of impact is sharp, precise. The sensors register. Dr. Yamada looks at the display, then looks again. He calls over two colleagues. They examine the readout together. Finally, Dr. Yamada addresses the room. The measurement shows 0.082 seconds from initiation to impact, 12 milliseconds faster than Tanaka-san's sword thrust. The room responds with confused silence. 12 milliseconds represents a significant gap in martial arts context. More importantly, these results challenge assumptions. The sword is an extension of the arm, adding reach, adding leverage. How does a punch achieve greater velocity? And then, in a fraction of a second that would define everything that followed, Dr. Yamada prepared the second test. The target board is removed. The laser sensors are repositioned, angled to create a plane between Akiko and Jet Li. New calibration, new variables. Akiko will stand 3 meters away. She will execute a men strike, an overhead cut aimed at his head. Full speed, full intention, genuine attack. Jet Li will move forward, attempting to place his hand on her forearm before the blade reaches him. The sensors will determine which contact occurs first. Both participants confirm understanding. Both bow in mutual respect. They take positions. 3 meters apart. Akiko raises her sword overhead, the classic preparatory position for men's strike. Jet Li stands neutral, hands open, watching her eyes, her shoulders, her grip. The 40 observers lean forward unconsciously. This is no longer a laboratory measurement. This is combat testing. Dr. Yamada's hand drops. Akiko attacks immediately, explosively. Her sword descends in a perfect arc, the kind of cut that has won championships. The blade moves faster than casual observation can track, but Jet Li is already moving. He steps forward and slightly left, changing the angle. His right hand extends, not reaching for the blade, but for her right forearm. His fingers make contact with her arm 3 inches below her elbow. The laser sensors flash. Akiko immediately stops her cut. The blade hangs in the air, 1 foot above Jet Li's head, motionless. Dr. Yamada checks the sensor data, rechecks, verifies with his colleagues. The timestamp shows Jet Li's hand contacted Akiko's arm 0.117 seconds before her blade would have reached his head, more than 1/10 of a second. In combat terms, an eternity. Enough time to stop the attack, redirect the weapon, control the outcome. The room erupts in discussion. Journalists ask questions in multiple languages. Researchers examine the sensor equipment, confirming accuracy. Kendo practitioners debate what they witnessed. The documentary crew reviews their footage, frame by frame. What the sensors recorded challenged fundamental assumptions about weapon advantage, about the relationship between reach and speed, about the nature of timing in combat. Akiko lowers her sword slowly. She looks at Jet Li with an expression difficult to read. Not anger, not embarrassment. Something closer to recognition. She has been the fastest in her division for 7 years, and in this moment, she has encountered someone faster. Not by luck, but through a different understanding of how speed is generated, how movement is initiated, how economy of motion transcends raw athletic ability. She performs a formal bow, deep and respectful. Jet Li returns the bow with equal formality. She speaks in Japanese, her voice clear and measured. The translator conveys her words. I have trained with the sword since I was 5 years old. I have won every competition I entered for 7 consecutive years. Today I learned that speed is not only about how fast the weapon moves, but about how quickly one understands the opponent's intention. Lee-san did not simply move faster, he moved sooner. He saw my attack before I completed it. That is a different skill entirely. I am grateful for this lesson. Jet Li responds quietly, respectfully. Tanaka-san, your technique is exceptional. What happened today is not about one system being superior to another. It is about different approaches to the same problem. Kendo emphasizes the perfection of the cut. Wing Chun emphasizes the elimination of wasted motion, the development of sensitivity to the opponent's energy. Both require years of dedicated practice. I did not defeat your art. I simply applied principles developed for close-range combat, where speed must be generated without telegraphing, where survival depends on attacking the hand that holds the weapon. Dr. Yamada documents everything, the sensor data, the timestamps, the witness statements. He will publish a paper on the findings, carefully worded, emphasizing that this was a controlled demonstration. The paper will be cited in sports science journals, debated in martial arts circles, referenced in discussions about reaction time and neuromuscular response patterns. The documentary crew interviews participants. Most describe what they saw with careful language. I observed Jet Li's hand make contact with Tanaka-san's arm before the blade reached him. The sensor data confirmed this observation. Others are more cautious. The equipment seemed to function correctly, but I would want to see the test repeated. A few are enthusiastic. This demonstration proves that traditional assumptions about weapon advantage must be reconsidered. Speed involves perception, decision-making, movement initiation. Akiko Tanaka speaks with Jet Li privately after the formal demonstration concludes. The conversation lasts 15 minutes. She asks questions about Wing Chun training methods, about how sensitivity is developed. Jet Li answers thoughtfully, occasionally demonstrating small movements. Before leaving, Akiko bows again and says something that the translator later reports as, I will incorporate what I learned today into my teaching, not abandoning Kendo, but understanding its limitations more clearly. March 17, 1993. Tsukiji District. 40 witnesses. Laser sensors accurate to 1,000th of a second. A katana blade descending at championship speed. And a hand that moved faster, not through supernatural ability, but through the application of principles refined over centuries, tested against resistance, proven under pressure. The Japanese sports science community documented the event. The documentary aired later that year on NHK, reaching 3 million viewers. Jet Li returned to his film work the following week, rarely mentioning the demonstration publicly. When asked in interviews, he deflected, saying only that he participated in a university research project and that Akiko Tanaka was an exceptional martial artist. Akiko continued competing, won her 6th All-Japan Championship the following year, and began incorporating cross-training elements into her instruction. The sensor data remains in Waseda University's sports science archives. 0.1117 seconds, faster than the blade. Witnessed, measured, documented. Not a legend, not a rumor. A moment when different systems met, when assumptions were tested, when speed revealed itself to be more than just physical velocity, but understanding, sensitivity, and the elimination of everything unnecessary.